This station is
This is
conducting
only
a
a
test
test
of the
of
emergency
the
broadcast.
This is only a test.
Take whatever take this is. This is our second go around. Here we are. We're doing our own shit, and we're gonna have to do another take of this. Take 3. Internet, what is up? Well, here we are. It was time for us to do our very first YouTube video, which I'm not psyched on, but here we are. And the reason we're doing this is a couple. One, we've been getting a large amount of questions, frequently asked questions from our customers and from people that are just interested in our brand and interested in our products. So we wanted to sit down, put a face to the product line and to the brand here, which is my ugly mug, and talk about the Onset and kind of address some of these questions that we got asked a lot on Instagram and via email on our support at ODG USA email. So if you need anything from us, hit us up on that email and we'll be happy to get back to you and answer any questions you've got. In the meantime, here we are talking about Onset. So the main question that I think a lot of people ask is why? What's the why and why we came up with this design? And where this guy originated from is when I was working with NEK as a loan operator instructor teaching white light employment back in the day. I think it was like 2017 timeframe. We had some military customers that were, or students that were basically talking about a specific capability in having a quick on-off attachment and detachment from a weapon system to be able to go back and forth from pocket carry to weapon-mounted light. And so as soon as that discussion was had, I did some initial sketches, came out with some initial concepts, and then it got shelved while I was, because I was teaching in between going to semesters of design school. And then I think 2018 is when I really got serious about developing the concept. And it took 4 years to get it out because this is a completely proprietary system and this hasn't been done before. So we were kind of blazing some new trail in terms of a very small niche segment of a QD capability for a light body. And the main reason we wanted to do that is we wanted to kind of push the envelope a little bit for, advancing lights on guns and what can be done. And so we have this proprietary locking mechanism. It still hasn't been named yet. We've got our trademarks in. We're waiting for our trademarks to get approved. As soon as those trademarks are approved, then we're going to do a full press release and, the naming convention and all that stuff. So we're waiting on that to get approved and come back. As soon as that hits the old mailbox, then we'll be happy to get that out to you guys. But in the meantime, the main premise was to be able to go from weapon mounted to pocket carry. So the next thing that we've got on the drawing board is there's a pocket clip that was part of the original design concept back in 2017. So for all of you guys out there that have seen this thing in the wild, have purchased it, have put it on a gun, and the DMs that I've got, which I've gotten more than a lot from you guys out there, which is great. Thank you so much for putting those ideas in the DM and sending them over to us. But yes, a pocket clip is coming. A pocket clip was always part of the original design intention. We've got that in prototype right now. We should probably be getting first samples back, hopefully in the next few weeks. Our goal is to have pocket clip out with the original long M-lock mount that we did out in the wild and available for holiday sales. We're going to push the envelope, but I don't want to overpromise and underdeliver. We've got other mounts coming that I'll discuss here in a second. The other premise of this light body was to go from platform to platform because we realize not everybody's got $500 to spend on a light system for every single weapon that they have in their arsenal. So you may be out there and a budget may be concern of yours, and you may have 5 or 6 long guns or a sub gun and several carbines that you want to get illumination on, but it's not in the budget for you to put a $500 light on every gun. So if that's the case, then this is definitely up your alley because you can go from platform to platform relatively easy. You can fit this guy on there, take him out to the range, train, shoot, do what you got to do, and then the next time you want to take a different platform, then you can also plug this guy right on. And then if you're not at the range training, all the guns are in the safes, but you need a good handheld light, well then you can take it off, throw the pocket clip on there, and it's going to go nicely in your pocket and be a really amazing illumination and defensive tool for you to carry around in your pocket. What we originally released is this long M-lock mount, the counter lever mount, so that you can use it on SBR type rifles. And the reason we went with this particular guy is we had a shorter mount originally designed that we call the stubby. That is going to get released too for those of you that want a shorter mount, shorter M-lock mount. The problem with it was that we originally had is that you had to drill through the dovetail, and then we needed very specific hardware that M-lock does not make. So we had to go with the we had to go this route initially to get this out to market, which is the long counter lever mount. So this is what we're launching with. Next in line is the pocket clip, and once we have the pocket clip out, then we're going to be coming in line with inline Picatinny, and then offset Picatinny, and we're also going to do an offset M-lock. And then we may do a specific mount that will bolt onto the mod button. Because we're a big fan of everything Mod Light's been doing. We really like their switches. They make pretty much the best switch on the market, in my opinion, and they're also doing a very fantastic job on heads. So the next thing that we get asked all the time is what will fit on it? What heads fit on it? What tail caps fit on it? And the heads and tail caps that we can fit on there right now we made sure that backwards compatibility was a tenet of the design. So all the Surefire caps will go on there. The Z68 clicky tail cap fits on there. The DS00 tail cap, that is the push button and plug, which is kind of the guy that I recommend and I like the most for right now. We are going to develop our own tail cap, and I'll get more into that in a second. But I really like the functionality of this because this is, you can take it off your gun, and yes, you do have to take the tail cap off of this with this particular style because it is fat on the back end, and it does not come off without removing the tail cap. So when this particular tail cap is engaged on the body on the mount, you do have to take the tail cap off to pull that off, which is another question we get asked all the time. And frankly, I was not opposed to that going into the design because I wanted some redundancy with retaining the light to the weapon. You do have to have some major things going wrong in your life. If you are able to cause the redundancy in the locking mechanism for both lock bars to fail, and the very specific direction and very specific large amount of force that it will take to shear this off the mount, you've got way bigger problems than your light coming off your gun. Like maybe you got hit by a bulldozer or a nuclear blast or something like that. So if you are able to shear that off your gun, you definitely have bigger problems to worry about. That said, having triple redundancy I didn't think was a bad thing. However, great customer feedback from our beta test team and from the customers that have bought this thing have all mentioned that they do not like the fact that you have to take the tail cap off. So we'll be making that adjustment with our own tail cap, which is going to hopefully be releasing by end of Q1 22. So look for end of Q1, beginning of Q2, which is springtime, right before summertime of 22. Right before next summer, we should be dropping our own tail cap, which will still be backwards compatible with all of Mod Light, hopefully all of Arasaka, all of Surefire stuff, so you'll be able to use our tail cap on all of those lights if, if that's your thing. So the only tail cap that we've found so far that will fit the bill on coming on and off without removing it is the UE07, which is just the simple, it's the Surefire plug, Surefire tail cap. You can put it, you can place it on the weapon or on the mount, lock it in place, and then remove it without taking the tail cap off. So that seems to be a kind of favorite. However, if now you do want to utilize this for handheld carry, you do now have to remove that tail cap and put on either a Z68, or if you're running a DS00, you'll have the push button, which is why I like this guy. So it's it works for everything that I need it to do right now, from taking it off the weapon and carrying it in my pocket. The next thing we're going to talk about is the battery situation. So Mod Light came out with their own branded version of the Key Power battery. It's basically a Key Power battery with a Mod Light label on it. The label is a little bit fatter, so it gets, where's that light body at? In some of our light bodies, our light bodies are spec'd a little bit tighter. So, and we did that because for dual fuel purposes, because Mod Light does make a great dual fuel head, we don't want the CR123s rattling around in there. So we went a little bit tighter with the internal diameter on our light body. So we've had a few customers that have had these tighter tolerances in these Mod Light batteries, and they do not come out very easily. So yes, you do need to take your tail cap off, get a little tool if you want to swap the battery out, and just push that guy out like that. It does not get stuck in there. It is not a super pain in the ass. It does come out very, very easily, but you do need a little bit extra assistance to get the battery out. And the reason for that is there is a little extra material which increases a little the diameter on the outside diameter of the battery with the Mod Light labeling, and then with our tighter tolerance inside the light body itself to keep the CR123s from rattling around. So that is an issue. So if you do have that question, that is your answer. The next question that we get are heads. Are Surefire heads compatible on there? Yes, Surefire heads are compatible on there. Mod Light heads are compatible on there. I don't know if Arisakas are yet. We're going to get our hands on some Arisakas and hopefully be able to fit them on there. But since Arisakas thread pitch works on Mod Light bodies and so on and so forth, and Mod Light heads work on Arisaka bodies and mounts, I think that there probably will be some backwards compatibility, but we're gonna definitely verify that before we put that information out. The next thing, which I dropped my mount somewhere. Okay, I'm back. No one panic. The things that go wrong when you're shooting video. It's incredible. We're waiting for the air to come back on too, by the way, to fuck up our audio. Okay, and now we have the mount. So you'll notice if you ordered or if you're looking at it online, you're looking at the mount. We do have a little rubber O-ring. Now, this O-ring, and we designed it specifically for this purpose, is also the same O-ring that seals up your head for where you screw down the head to give it your IPX8 rating, where you screw your head on here, and then you screw it down and torque it down hard over your O-ring, and that compresses, and then that seals out all the water. That is the exact same O-ring that is on your mount. So if you want to get online and you want to order some extra O-rings, we're probably going to have those for sale because we've gotten requests for people to buy extra M-LOK hardware, nuts and bolts. These little guys that come included with your mount. People have been wanting extra bolts and they've been wanting extra O-rings. Now, when we ordered these O-rings in bulk, we had a pre-production issue where they had some kind of powder residue on them and they did not like going into the light body. So what we had to do is we had to lube them up because there was some kind of preservative or some kind of residue on there. So it's really easy. There's a couple ways you can do it. You can pull the O-ring off the mount, apply a little bit of lube to your fingers, and then you just massage that into the O-ring and you get it nice and slick, and then you place your O-ring right back on your mount. Okay, so if you are having difficulty with the light locking onto the mount, that's the reason. Now, there's kind of a step 2 that you need to make sure when you replace that O-ring on the mount is you need to make sure that you're pushing the O-ring securely back into that groove channel, that O-ring groove channel that's cut in there. Because if you don't do that and it's not seated all the way down in there, you're also going to have issues with the O-ring bunching up when you go to put it on, when you go to insert the light body onto the mount. So once you get that lubed up though, it slides in really nice and clicks in place and then you won't have any issues. But we did have that original issue going out the door. The other way to do that is if you're in a hurry, you don't want to take the time to pull that O-ring off, just place a little bit of lube on the sides of the mount or in the rail channel there inside the locking mechanism of the light, and then just fit it in there, press fit it in there, put it in there and remove it a few times. Get it, get the lube spread around on the O-ring, and then you'll be good to go. And then your light, you won't have any fitment issues. The other reason, so there's 2 reasons why we have the O-ring on there. One of them helps with the fitment of the mount with the body and helps give you really good extra lockup on the locking mechanism. And then the other design purpose for that was to keep the locking mechanism somewhat sealed up, to keep sand, dirt, debris out of the locking mechanism and channel so that you don't have any issues with that. So those are the main questions that we get asked all the time. So thanks for joining us. We hope you enjoyed this first segment, this first edition of the Orion Design Group YouTube channel.
This is only a test.
Take 6.